We're at this point where we have only 2 months left in this group. I thought it would be a good time to revisit the drama triangle. The drama triangle is the first module because for me in my practice, it is the most elementary, foundational way to really notice what I'm doing. If something is causing me suffering, the first thing I check in with is, have I moved into a position on the drama triangle? Am I in victim? Am I in perpetrator? Am I in rescuer? Usually, if an action or a relationship is causing me some level of suffering, it is because I have stepped into one of those. And I'm no longer really receiving the person across from me or on the phone or on a Zoom, that I have in some place in my body clenched and shut down and have retreated to one of those positions. And now that could be because there's a true and present danger, or it could be because that is a habitual position for me to retreat to in order to keep my ego intact. So something came up for me recently with someone telling me I made them feel unsafe. Okay. And so I had to really sit with that. You know, they thought I was being unkind and they felt unsafe. Now, the context around this situation was with a friend who was thinking about taking an action that would have impacted a lot of people. And this is a person that will traditionally go to the rescuer position and allow that to reiterate a feeling of being a very good person, and only looking at the action that she's about to take and not the bigger reverberations, because this is a person that can't really sit still long enough to open to what those other reverberations could be. So I asked her, do you think it's right for you to interfere in this situation if what you're thinking about doing isn't naturally happening with the people who are actually responsible for the situation? And how she heard that was, oh, you're telling me it's wrong. You're telling me it's wrong. You're telling me that what I'm doing is that, well, you don't know, it's not your family. I said, you're right. I didn't say it was wrong, and I know it's not my family. What I'm asking you to consider are the bigger reverberations beyond you wanting to feel like you're doing something from a distance that's going to be beneficial. My suggestion was, you know, there are going to be aspects of this that are very obviously not beneficial, and there are going to be other potential reverberations that won't be beneficial down the line. Can you look at them before you take this action? And the need to be a good person in this situation was so deep and so connected to grief for this person that she defended so much against that and reacted so strongly. And I was a safe place to put that defense. Okay? And I bring up this example because it brings up, I think, an important point about the drama triangle. We never step into one of those positions alone. They are inherently relational positions, right? And so if we step off of those positions, it's very important to really go deep into that home space and to really ground so that we can meet compassionately with a soft front and a strong back when someone wants to bring us back into one of those positions. And that takes an incredible amount of fortitude to not have to grab for wanting to be liked, to not have to grab for wanting to save this person from the position that they're in right now, that they need to be in to dismantle the pattern that they're reenacting. So we have to let go of all of that desire to be liked, all of that desire to let's just not make waves here. Let's just keep doing what we were doing before. That does not serve. And each of us practitioners who start to have this awareness of the interconnectedness of all things and our responsibility for how we show up in our field, because our field is connected to all the other fields. When we start to notice the truth of that, we have to take that responsibility seriously. And sometimes being nice and being compassionate are very different, and we have to weigh which one we're going to be in a particular situation. And how do I personally make that decision? I have to ask myself, what serves? The thing I serve above all else is freedom. Do I want to be liked by this person, or do I want this person to be free? Am I prepared to be villainized and let this person go away for a while, metabolize the exchange that we had, and maybe come back later, maybe not? But am I prepared to sustain that loss, to be completely sincere and grounded and in integrity with what I serve? And for me personally, no matter how uncomfortable that might get, the answer is yes for me. My primary purpose is to serve freedom in myself and others. So if I stray from that because I don't want to rock somebody's boat, I'm then out of integrity, and I now have been dishonest. And for me personally, that feels terrible. That feels the energetic exchange of having someone still like me and still be in that same position they were in. Them liking me doesn't feel good enough to make up for the deep disconnect of me being out of integrity with who I know I am. And that is why the drama triangle is our first module. It's a beautiful foundation for noticing. It's a beautiful foundation for understanding the level of openness and permeability that we really have in our relationships. Because we get to not only notice when we step into one of those positions, but we get to notice when someone else is trying to put us in one of those positions. And we get to really ground, really be stable and steady and considering why. What's the thing under the thing? What is the thing under the thing? What does this person really want from me? What does this person really want from themselves? What does this person really want from this interaction? Where's the heart? Where's the heart that's under the egoic impulse to step into one of the positions on the victim triangle? Because it is always the ego trying to save itself. There is no truth, none, in any of those positions. You can have a terrible thing happen to you and not step into the victim position. You can be so certain about what's right for someone else and not step into rescuer. You can be so righteously angry and not step into perpetrator. I think one of the things that I have been very cautious about in this group is staying focused on asking questions and always keeping in my own mind that I don't have anything that you don't have. I'm here as a group facilitator. I have been fortunate enough to walk a path that has mostly involved crawling. So I have had to dismantle my whole egoic identity a couple times over so far in this life. Ergo, my name change. Sometimes you have to let other people know in an obvious way that you're not the person that they knew before. And that sort of thing is part and parcel of the discomfort of this practice. Not only is it uncomfortable at times for you, the practitioner, or me, the practitioner, or us, the practitioners, but it also involves a real point of view reset for the people around us. And that's a whole additional layer of discomfort. Because if other people start to see us in the way that we're really showing up and as who we truly are, with courage and confidence, then they might have to show up that way too. And not everybody is ready to do that. And sometimes showing up as you are is simply too confronting for the people around you. And it's best to be as gentle as possible and as compassionate as possible. And that's why we do the unit on self-compassion. Because once we can really sincerely practice self-compassion, it more easily flows out from us. If we don't have any self-compassion, we're play acting compassion in the world. And we're usually going into rescuer. If we don't have true self-compassion, the compassion that we talk about offering others and presenting to others and imbuing our life with is false. Unless we are fully grounded in self-compassion, it's not possible to bring it to our relationships. So I wanted to check in today because we did lose another member for reasons that are directly related to this. It's not the story that I'm talking about, but another one. And so I want to be clear that my intentions are never to be anything less than compassionate with you. But I truly don't give a shit if you're uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is exactly where you need to be. Uncomfortable is the precipice of truth. And uncomfortable, frankly, is your responsibility to metabolize. I am not responsible for your reaction. You are responsible for your reaction. If you feel I've pushed too far or the delivery was too harsh for you, you're more than welcome to come to me with that. But I would ask that you come to me with it open to a conversation about it. Not just come to me with, you're a big meanie, I don't like you, I'm leaving. Because that doesn't give me the opportunity to serve you. And it really only gives you the opportunity to retreat back into the same egoic pattern that you presumably came here to break. And I take my job of serving you in dismantling those patterns very seriously, and I take it very much to heart. And I continue to show up for it even when you don't. Because that's my purpose and my responsibility, and my integrity depends on it. And my peace and serenity and my practice depend on my integrity. So I would invite us before tomorrow's call to all reconsider the drama triangle and where it's coming up for us, where we still find ourselves stepping into one of those positions. And I bring this up because I really do hope that we will go back to noticing that fundamental interference with our capacity to be in our home space. If we are in one of those positions, we are not grounded. If we are in one of those positions, we are not wholehearted. If we are in one of those positions, we are outside of our body. So it's been a while since we did that module. We did that back in May. So I hope you will all take this invitation to reconsider the drama triangle. When do you step into rescuer? When do you step into victim? When do you step into perpetrator? What moves do you favor? Do you like to go from victim to perpetrator, perpetrator back to victim? Do you like to go rescuer, perpetrator, occasional dip into victim? We all have a certain dance that we like to do with our feet on one of the three. So I would invite you to renew your commitment to noticing that. And to understand that this practice is not just for 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, like a sitting practice. But the awareness that we're trying to cultivate, the emotionally sober awareness, the emotionally sober, aware permeability that we're trying to cultivate is something that ideally, as we deepen our practice, will be with us all the time. But getting to that point requires really metabolizing all of these tools, even when they're uncomfortable, especially when they're uncomfortable. The patterns that we each carry were usually patterns of survival that we developed when we needed it most, when we were kids, when we had no other tools available. So we found these ways that got us what we needed. But now as we grow into maturity, and that's not just chronological, obviously, as we develop into maturity and deepen our practice, insight comes from realizing why we needed to develop those reactions, having compassion for the person we were when we developed those reactions, and compassion enough for the person that we are now to trust in the unfolding of our lives without them. Will I still be a good person if I don't help people in an obvious way, directly, like you're sad and I'm going to save you from your sadness? I mean, that's one of the reasons that we don't coach each other in this group. You're here to bear witness to each other and to each other's process, and to know you are seen, to know you are held, and to know that your patterns are fundamentally your responsibility. And I am here to guide you, hold you, witness you, help you with that in any way that I can, but I can't rescue you from yourself. I can't rescue me from myself. I have to bear witness to the unfolding of one thing at a time and be master of my response. That's it. That's freedom. And there's so much joy in that, and so much less suffering. Going back to the friend I was talking about in the beginning of this live, like, the impulse to help can be so heartfelt, especially when we're not aware of our own patterns. I think that's where the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, comes from. Because here's someone sitting there believing that they're making a sacrifice for the greater good, and what they're doing is noble and kind, because in their mind it really is. But if you really believe something is good, an action is good and kind and for the greater benefit, you will not be afraid to have it interrogated by yourself or by anyone else. If it's truly good, it will hold. True things hold. That's why letting go of people or places or things that feel off to you, if you're wrong, that will come back. Things that belong with you end up with you. But things that we cling to, grip to, so that we don't feel so alone or so flawed or so scarce, those things will be taken away from us because they're keeping us from who we actually are. And if we can't really be who we actually are, we really can't show up in this life in a way that matters. I hope this is clear. We have our call tomorrow. I will email you all the Zoom details, and I look forward to discussing this and scarcity and whatever else has come up for you over the last 2 weeks. See you tomorrow.